Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching this Ag Forecast video for South America, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. I'm going to start with some satellite-derived precipitation. We're going to go back to the 18th and play through the last week. What I want you to notice is that around the 22nd and 23rd, we did have a front that moved through Argentina and moved up into southern Brazil. So here it is, the 23rd, right in through there. And that front then pushed farther to the north. And why I'm bringing that up is because this is an area that over the next 10 days is going to be dry. But it's just important for us to remember that moisture did move through that region here just in the last week or so. Now what I'd like to do for us next, there we go, is I want to take a look at the latest data from GRACE. If you just go to nasagrace.unl.edu, you can find these data yourself. What you've got here is the root zone soil moisture. Now, I've showed you this before, but just a quick recap. That G in GRACE stands for gravity. And this is a technique where we're using satellite to measure these micro fluctuations in gravity, among a suite of other things, to detect a lot of things like soil moisture. Now, overall, when you look at this, we see that there are some drier pockets, like this part of Argentina, and still some places over here in eastern Brazil, and also just in the northern parts of Mato Grosso, kind of getting into the Amazon rainforest. But outside of that, we don't see major moisture deficits in terms of soil moisture. Now, for reference, I'm going to compare this to a year ago. And I know it's a little bit smaller map, but I want to be able to show you something here. So if you go to that website, again, nasagrace.unl.edu, you have an option to click on the Archive tab. And I took you back to October 26th, 2020. Now you can see at that time period, we were dry in Mato Grosso do Sul, down into parts of southern Brazil. But what I want to do is I want to show you the difference, or the change, over a month. From October 26th a year ago, let's just go out to November 30th. And now we see the effect of the very slow start to the monsoon. And that was what was so record-setting about last year. Now the big question is, are we going to see a repeat of that? And I think I've made it pretty clear over the last several videos that the possibility of that is quite low. And here's what we got for the next 10 days. We continue to see near normal monsoonal rains for much of Mato Grosso. We're watching for wetter conditions in Brazil's eastern growing areas, and that was one of the areas we had seen as kind of the last holdout for the drier conditions. And even though we're drier from Mato Grosso do Sul through Paraná down to Rio Grande do Sul, this part of southern Brazil, this is an area that, again, we just saw the rain come through there. So just keep that all in mind as you think about this pattern that's coming up. Now, something I do want to take note of is that later in the time period here, over the next 10 days, we are going to be watching another front that advances through parts of Argentina, bringing in more moisture into that area. And we looked last week at the iPad data from the USDA and noticed that that was a region that was drier. So let's get in and talk about this pattern and look at the high-res European model to kind of stitch it all together. So we're going to start off here. This is going to be the 12Z European run. And as we kind of play this forward, what we're going to see is this evening getting into tomorrow on Tuesday and through Wednesday. We're going to just see drier conditions here, higher pressure is taken over. You're just going to see flashes of green in this area. We have the tail end of a front initially, but then as we get through the middle of this week, we are going to just see normal monsoonal flow. So you see this is now getting into Friday and on into Saturday. And what we're going to be watching, I'm rocking back and forth here through Friday night into Saturday morning. This is going to be a time period where we do get better chances of rainfall in through this part of southern Brazil. And we are going to be seeing chances for rain in this part of Argentina. But still, no major system moving through here. What we're going to watch is on Sunday, chances of rain for pockets of southern Brazil to increase again after a drier week. But then the kind of the bigger feature that's going to be coming through is going to happen next Monday into Tuesday. And what you're going to see is that through Tuesday into Wednesday, this is the area where we start to see a lot better chances of seeing some showers and possibly some storms coming through this part of Argentina, a region that's been drier. So meanwhile, if we kind of carve this up, what I would tell you is this is an area that we expect over the next 8 to 10 days to favor above normal precipitation. We have a drier time periods in through here. That would be southern Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay. And then as we get out there into midweek next week, we're going to watch for showers and storms to increase in Argentina. And they move to the north, as you can see there, getting out into middle of next week. So we stitch all that together. Let's just get a kind of a full picture here. As we start off again now and pressing through the end of this week into Friday and now into Saturday. Let's just stop it there. Through Saturday morning, okay, our heaviest corridors for rainfall is going to be in through here. We're drier all around this. And this is just some precip that shows up Friday night to Saturday morning. Now after that, what we see is we're going to add over the weekend in through this region, and then more precipitation right in through here. And then early next week into midweek, that's when our rainfall chances improve in Argentina. So you look at this whole pattern and see the setup of it, and you understand that to start off the drier weather, let's just go back to it here. Here, just remember that we did bring in, through this particular area, rainfall recently. A lot of this is coming midweek next week, and this is going to be our region that we're going to see the heaviest rainfall over the next 7 to 10 days. So that's kind of a recap of what we just discussed. Now, what I really want to get to is that long-range stuff. So week 2. Notice in the week 2 forecast from the European, expansive region in through here of wetter weather in Argentina. We're still seeing the model favoring drier conditions in southern Brazil and Paraguay down to Rio Grande do Sul, and still much above normal here. Okay, but how long does that hang on is the big question. First, just want to let you know, the temperature pattern, it's going to be warmer than normal across with that high pressure down here in Argentina, southern Brazil, far southern Brazil, but we're cooler than average so far, so no major temperature stresses to be discussing just yet, all right? But I want to get to these new European weeklies, because this is what the month of November looks like. You see, the model seems to persist with favoring more drier days than wetter days here in parts of Uruguay, Paraguay, southern Brazil. It now looks as though much of Argentina could favor above normal rainfall going into this month of November. The only exception to that would be this region here. The model's been very consistent on this. Now, could they break away from it? Certainly. The MJO is weekly into phase 1 and 2. Should it jump out into phases 3, 4, and 5, we will have to watch for that to work against the strength of the monsoon. And it could do that. This La Nina continues to develop. And that La Nina is quite strong. In fact, I just want to show it to you really quickly here. Let's go to my latest sea surface temperature graphic, and you can see it. We have a Southern Oscillation Index of 12, and that cold water extends pretty far over here to the coast. So should that give us, or should that meet, I should say, westerlies, we'll get that MJO back into this area. And what we tend to get is a bunch of rising motion there, and it tends to be more suppressing motion here. But what I'm stressing is that right now the models are not picking up on that. And it also appears that the Antarctic oscillation, sometimes we call it the southern annular mode, which refers to the pressure patterns around the South Pole and the subsequent wind field, the jet stream wind field, doesn't appear to be a dominant factor in this pattern as we move forward. So I'm going to be honest, I'm relying pretty heavily on the models having picked up the teleconnections and assuming them correctly into the precipitation pattern. And that's why I've left it on this graphic to finish up. That seems to be the way that November is going to kind of go through here. And what I'm concerned about is that it's going to consistently be like that in December, January, and February as well. So southern Brazil, it's still in my kind of target area of being worried about for drought later on this growing season. I'll keep watching it. I'll report back to you again on Thursday and twice a week, as long out as we can go. So I appreciate your attention, and we will talk to you again very soon. Thank you.